handle this. Couldn't handle the strangeness, the randomness of Wood's drowning. He would go on to say in a Playboy interview in 1997, anybody there saw the logistics of the boat that night where we were that it was raining. That would never exactly know what happened. But wait a second, this wasn't officially mentioned before now, was it? And you hear a lot of things about people that slip in the bathtub, fall down and drown, fall down the stairs, step off the curb in London because they think the car has come the other way and they die. You feel you don't want to make a dying effort or something. You don't want to die some unnecessary. For those who knew Wood, his ugliness at the death was so deeply painful, for she was one of a kind. There was also an interview where Shirley Elder would tell Hollywood columnists that I guess we do belong together, talking about the compatibility with Robert Wagner. Well, Robert Wagner, he says, yes, we do. Or as it, or as adorable as Susan Walker said in Adorable also, I believe. It's a silly, but I believe. Welcome back to True Crime Lounge podcast. I do have a Patreon that you can join for early access to episodes scheduled to come out. I also have a merch shop for all your true crime gear. For any updates on my channel or podcast, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. With that being said, let's dive into today's episode. Today we're going to be finishing up with our mini-series on Natalie Wood, one of my favorite old Hollywood actresses. Yes, I love old Hollywood. Do I disagree with the rules that they have for them? Completely. But they made so many good movies. That's the thing, you don't make movies like that anymore. Anyway, let's dive into finishing our mini-series, shall we? But so the LA County Sheriff's Department homicide detectives discussed the most recent details of Natalie Wood investigation. And Finstad says something that could stand and still advance the investigation. In the past several months, she spent the lead detective to new incriminating eyewitnesses of Natalie's injuries. After she published her book, she found a key witness, Devarn, who called in panic after Natalie's drowned to confide that she went overboard. A biographer told Town and Country. So Wagner has never been charged with any of the crime in connection to the death of Wood, meaning that if he chose to give further statements to the police, it would have been purely voluntary. And according to the Associated Press, investigators even made 10 attempts to interview Wagner again after he reopened the investigation in 2011, including tracking him down in Colorado. But neither Wagner or his lawyer, refused. And so, in Karina, they will go on to say, we would love to talk to Robert Wagner. He refused to talk to us. We can never force him to talk. He has rights, and he cannot talk to us if he doesn't want to. So the Sheriff's Department publicly acknowledged that Wagner was a person of interest, which only deepens the tragedy right here. The LA coroner remarkably officially changed her cause of death. Um, cause of death. Uh, after 30 years, which means that with suspicions of the gruesome death was never investigated, that she was wrongly and publicly blamed and shamed for her drunken cause of her own death. Robert Wagner and her daughter Courtney attend a book signing for the signing of the father's new book, You Must Remember This, in 2014. Wagner, called RJ by those who knew him, appeared to have been shattered by the loss of his wife, he wrote in his memoir. There are only two possibilities. Either she was trying to get away from the argument, and that she was trying to or she was trying to tie the dinghy. But the bottom line is nobody knows exactly what happened. Natalie and Courtney was 7 years old. Natalie and RJ's daughter Courtney was 7 years old whenever she lost her mom. Courtney had continually expressed her love and support for her mom, praising the efforts to protect her dad praising the efforts to protect his children, as that was told in one interview. Like Wagner, Walken has said very little about the public about Wood's death. In one of those statements, he suggested that people maybe couldn't handle the strangeness, the randomness of Wood's drowning. He would go on to say in a Playboy interview in 1997, anybody there saw the logistics of the boat that night where we were that it was raining. That would never exactly know what happened. But wait a second, this wasn't officially mentioned before now, was it? And you hear a lot of things about people that slip in the bathtub, fall down and drown, fall down the stairs, step off the curb in London because they think the car is coming the other way and they die. You feel you don't want to make a dying effort or something. You don't want to die some unnecessary. For those who knew Wood, his ugliness at the death was so deeply painful, for she was one of a kind. There was also an interview where Shirley Elder would tell Hollywood columnists that I guess we do belong together. Talking about the compatibility with Robert Wagner. Well, Robert Wagner, he says, yes, we do. Or as it Or as adorable as Susan Walker said in Adorable also, I believe, I believe, I believe. It's a silly, but I believe. So why did the coroner change the cause of death in Natalie's case? A 10-page supplementary note was added to Natalie's autopsy report in 2011, where it was detailed that there was both recent bruises and a few days old bruises in no particular pattern. Some of the reported bruises and abrasions were found in extremities on the left side of her face. The note elaborated, bruises, especially in the upper extremities, appeared fresh and could have occurred before Natalie entered the water. Also, after describing the injuries of Natalie's, there are conflicting statements about these, but the medical examiner is unable to exclude non-volatile unplanned entry of the water. So, with that being said, we have worked our way up to the timeline, which I know a lot of you has probably been wanting to hear. But if you hung out with me this long, yay, please, guys. Know my podcasts are getting better. I'm still new to the game. I do have a speech impediment, so please bear with me. But, oh, that Fred says hi. Um, so let's go to late November 1981, where Wood and Wagner will begin planning one of their frequent boat trips to Catalina Island. November 28, 1981, Wood, Wagner, Walken, and DeVerne would enjoy a champagne-filled dinner at Doug's Harbor Reef in Catalina before boarding the yacht. November 29, 1981, at 1:30, a shift ashore called was made 2 hours later at 3:30 a.m. The Coast Guard finally said, this part of the timeline has become particularly interesting to investigators. There are many, many things that should be examined, but mainly the 4-hour wait to call the Coast Guard. November 30th, 1981, Dr. Joseph Chow, a deputy medical examiner at the LA Medical Examiner's Office, that's a breath taker, performed an autopsy on Wood, noting her blood alcohol levels and several bruises would be consistent with a fall overboard. September 1st, 1997, Walken broke his silence the night of Wood's death, offering a theory on how she died. November 17, 2001, 30 years after the death, the LA Sheriff's Department reopened the investigation for additional information. November 18, 2011, in an interview with NBC, Durbin said that he lied about Wood's death when he was originally questioned by the police. January 14, 2013, the LA County Sheriff's Department officially changed Wood's cause of death from an accidental drowning. February 1st, 2018, Wagner was officially named a person of interest. In 2020, Natalie Wood, what remains behind, her daughter Natasha Gregson Wagner, confronts Wagner on camera about the speculation. He denied the accusations. Now, if you hung around, you want to probably hear what I think. I think Wagner killed her. I think he threatened Walken and the Vern that if he told anybody, that he would make sure they regretted it. I also believe that we may never get a closure to this case. Honestly, by the time we get a truth and answer, that he's gonna be dead, and we'll never know an answer. Her family deserves to know this answer. What do y'all think? But that's it for today's episode. I will see y'all later. Y'all have a great day.